A modern cruise ship can cost over $1 billion to build, yet it earns most of its money not from tickets but from the wallets of passengers already aboard. Icon of the Seas, delivered in 2024, carries nearly 7,600 guests and cost around $2 billion. Every single day it sits idle, it can burn tens of thousands of dollars doing nothing. So how does a floating city turn thousands of vacationers into a profit machine that never stops running? The answer starts with a lie you have already believed. That headline fare that lured you in was never meant to make the company rich. Royal Caribbean and Carnival both report that ticket revenue often accounts for only about 60 to 65% of what a passenger is actually worth. The ticket is bait, priced to fill the ship, not to profit from you. Consider the math Royal Caribbean laid out to investors. In 2023, the company reported passenger ticket revenue of roughly $8.5 billion against onboard and other revenue of about $5.3 billion, and it was the onboard slice that carried the fatter margins. Executives on earnings calls speak openly of a metric they call net yield per passenger cruise day, and they obsess over it quarter after quarter because a single dollar of extra onboard spent across a full fleet compounds into hundreds of millions by year end. That bait works because the remaining 30 to 40% of passenger revenue comes from everything you buy once you are aboard. Onboard spending is the beating heart of the model. Carnival Corporation pulled in over $25 billion in fiscal 2024, and a huge slice of that never touched a ticket booth. It came from people floating in the middle of the ocean with nothing but a key card and a thirst. That key card is not a minor detail. It is the entire nervous system of the extraction. On a ship like Icon, your wristband or SeaPass card is linked to a credit card the moment you board, and from then on, you never see cash, never sign a total, never feel the friction of paying. Behavioral economists have a name for it, the pain of paying, and cruise lines have surgically removed it. Studies of cashless spending consistently show people spend 12 to 18% more when the physical money disappears, and on a ship that number is engineered even higher. And that thirst is the point, because filling the ship is the entire game. Every warm body on board is a potential spender, and cruise lines have measured this appetite down to the dollar. On average, a single passenger spends between $60 and $100 or more per day once the sailing begins. Multiply that across thousands of guests and days at sea, and the tickets look like a rounding error. Picture a 7-night Caribbean sailing on Icon with 6,000 guests spending, conservatively, $80 a day. That is $480,000 a day, more than $3.3 million in onboard revenue across a single week before the ship has sold a single new ticket. Royal Caribbean's own filings show onboard spending per passenger has risen steadily since 2022, and management credits pre-cruise sales, where guests buy drink packages and excursions online weeks before boarding, locking in the money before the vacation even begins. Now put a number on those bodies. Icon of the Seas holds up to 7,600 passengers when full. That is a small town packed onto a hull, and every resident is a customer. The industry even reports occupancy rates that climb past 100% because third and fourth guests crammed into a single cabin push the count above the ship's official capacity. More bodies, more wallets, more days at sea. In the second quarter of 2024, Royal Caribbean reported fleet-wide occupancy of 108%, meaning its ships were carrying well over their double occupancy design capacity. That extra 8% is not an accident of overbooking. It is deliberate, because a fifth person squeezed into a family cabin costs the line almost nothing in fixed overhead, yet still buys drinks, still books an excursion, still walks through the photo gallery. Once those bodies are aboard, the highest margin product on the ship goes to work, and it comes in a glass. Alcohol is where cruise lines print money. Beverage packages routinely sell for $60 to $100 per person per day, and all-you-can-drink promise that sounds generous until you see what the drinks cost the company. Royal Caribbean's deluxe beverage package, for example, has crept upward year after year, often landing between $85 and $105 per person per day once gratuities are added, and the line quietly imposes a daily drink limit of 15 alcoholic beverages, a ceiling most guests never approach. Those drinks cost almost nothing to pour. Markups on cocktails and wine can exceed 300%. A pour of liquor that costs the line a couple of dollars becomes a premium cocktail, sold again and again all day. And here is the quiet cruelty of the package. Some lines require that if one adult in a cabin buys the drink plan, every adult must buy it too. You cannot opt out while your partner sips freely. The system is designed so the whole room pays. Run the numbers on a couple across a 7-night sailing, and the package alone can add well over $1,300 to a single cabin's bill, a sum that often rivals or exceeds what the two of them paid for the fare itself. If the bar is the loud profit center, the restaurants and shore trips are the quiet ones, and they extract even more without you noticing. That buffet you paid for in your fare is the decoy. The real money is in the specialty restaurants tucked around the ship, the steakhouse and the sushi counter, and the Italian trattoria, each charging $30 to $100 per person per meal on top of your fare. Icon of the Seas alone offers more than 40 dining and drinking venues, and the premium ones carry names like Chops, Grill, and Izumi, where a single cover charge for the steakhouse runs around $60 per person before you have ordered a bottle of wine. A family of 4 choosing to dine there just twice during a cruise can hand over nearly $500, all for meals the ship's own galley prepares at a fraction of that cost. And when the ship reaches land, the extraction follows you ashore. Those shore excursions, the snorkeling trips and jungle tours and beach transfers are booked through the cruise line even though local operators run them. The line does very little except take a cut, and that cut is enormous. Cruise companies pocket commissions of 30 to 50% on excursions sold on board. You think you are booking an adventure. You are really booking a middleman, a fat commission for a phone call. A stingray encounter in Grand Cayman that a local operator sells at the dock for $40 can appear on the ship's excursion desk at $89, the difference vanishing into the cruise line's ledger before the tour boat has even left the harbor. Then there is the venue that runs on losing, and it never touches the shore. The onboard casino is engineered as a floating profit center, and its greatest asset is geography. Once the ship crosses into international waters, it operates outside many of the gambling regulations that bind land-based casinos. The rules that protect gamblers on shore dissolve somewhere past the horizon. By maritime convention, the casino cannot legally open until the ship is roughly 12 nautical miles offshore, and seasoned cruisers know the exact moment the slot machines light up, a signal that the vessel has officially left the reach of state gaming boards and their payout percentage requirements. In that regulatory blind spot, the casino becomes a meaningful revenue stream, quietly adding to the onboard haul night after night. And like every casino, it wants you back. Ships run loyalty programs specifically to encourage repeat play, showering their heaviest gamblers with free rooms and perks that pull them onto the next sailing. The house always wins, and at sea it has even fewer rules to follow. Carnival's Players Club and Royal Caribbean's Club Royale track every dollar wagered, and their top-tier players receive comped balcony cabins and even free cruises timed precisely to keep them sailing several times a year, a strategy lifted straight from Las Vegas but applied to a customer who literally cannot walk out the door. The casino is only the most obvious trap. The gentler ones are everywhere, dressed up as relaxation and memories. The duty-free shops lining the promenade sell tax-free while the ship sits in international waters, dangling the illusion of a bargain to a crowd with nowhere else to shop. You are a captive audience, and captive audiences buy. That same captive psychology drives the spa and the photographers. A single spa treatment can run $150 to $300, sold to guests who are relaxed and primed to treat themselves. Meanwhile, roving photographers snap thousands of professional pictures of families at dinner and couples at the rail, then sell those prints at premium prices in a gallery you must walk through to reach the dining room. Nothing aboard is an accident. Every corridor funnels you toward a purchase. The spa itself is often run by a contractor, the London-listed company OneSpaWorld, which operates the wellness centers on hundreds of ships and shares the take with the line, and its therapists are trained to end each massage with a firm pitch for $200 of skincare products before you have even climbed off the table. So the revenue side is a masterpiece of extraction. But flip the ship over and the other truth appears, the one that keeps cruise executives awake at night. Every one of these venues sits on a machine that devours money whether or not a single passenger is spending. And it starts, quite literally, with fire in the belly of the ship. That fire is fuel, and it is monstrous. A large cruise ship burns roughly 150 to 250 tons of fuel every day at sea, tens of thousands of dollars a day just to keep moving through the water. The engines do not care whether the cabins are full or empty. They drink the same either way. Icon of the Seas softened this slightly by running on liquefied natural gas rather than traditional heavy fuel oil, but the bunkering bill is still staggering, and at roughly $600 to $700 per ton of marine fuel. A single day at sea can cost well over $100,000 just to keep the propellers turning. And that drink got more expensive in a way the whole industry felt at once. When the International Maritime Organization tightened its sulfur regulations in 2020, ships were forced onto cleaner, pricier marine fuel, and prices spiked sharply. Overnight, one of the largest costs of running a ship jumped higher, and it has never fully come back down. The ocean does not offer discounts. The rule, known across the industry as IMO 2020, slashed the permitted sulfur content in marine fuel from 3.5% down to 0.5%, and lines scrambled to either buy the expensive low-sulfur blend or bolt on exhaust scrubbers costing several $1 million per ship to keep burning the cheaper stuff legally. Fuel is only the first mouth to feed. The second is human, and it is enormous. Icon of the Seas carries roughly 2,350 crew members, an army of cooks, cleaners, engineers, entertainers, and servers hidden in the decks below and moving through the ones above. The crew-to-passenger ratio often runs around one crew member for every 2 or 3 guests, and that lavish level of service is exactly what people pay for. Those crew hail from more than 70 nationalities, work contracts that commonly stretch 6 to 8 months without a single day off, and live in cabins stacked below the waterline on the aptly named I-95 corridor, the crew highway that runs the length of the ship out of every passenger's sight. But that army must be paid, fed, and housed every day, and here is the part that hurts. Those costs do not stop when the passengers leave. Even when a ship carries no guests, the crew still eats, still sleeps in their cabins, and still draws a wage. An empty ship is a fully staffed hotel serving no one, and payroll keeps ticking regardless. Beyond the crew, the ports reach into the company's pockets every time the ship ties up. Port fees and government taxes are charged whether the ship arrives full or half empty. Across a year, those fees can total millions of dollars per single ship, a relentless toll for the right to dock and unload thousands of tourists. You pay part of that toll yourself, whether you realize it or not. The taxes and port fees are bundled invisibly into your fare, folded into the total so smoothly that most passengers never separate them out. And the most popular destinations charge the most. Caribbean ports in particular levy fees per passenger, so every guest who walks down the gangway represents another payment owed to the island. Cozumel in Mexico and Nassau in the Bahamas each charge per head passenger levies that have climbed in recent years, and the Bahamas raised its cruise passenger tax in 2024, adding several dollars per guest, a change that on a full sailing of 6,000 people quietly adds tens of thousands of dollars to the cost of a single port call. Now assemble the whole picture and the nightmare scenario reveals itself. Add the fuel, the crew, the food, the port fees, the insurance, the financing on a $2 billion hull, and you get a ship whose costs run at full throttle regardless of how many cabins are occupied. These are fixed costs. They continue no matter what. And that is precisely why an empty cabin at sea is not neutral. It is a wound. The world saw how deep that wound can go in 2020. When the pandemic forced the entire industry to pause, ships sat idle at anchor for months, and the losses ran into billions of dollars across the sector. The vessels were not sailing, not selling a single drink or excursion, yet they still had to be maintained, insured, and crewed enough to stay alive. Carnival Corporation alone reported a staggering net loss of about $10.2 billion in its 2020 fiscal year, and at the depth of the shutdown, the company disclosed it was burning through hundreds of millions of dollars in cash every single month just to keep its fleet warm and its skeleton crews aboard. To survive that idle stretch, the biggest names did the only thing they could. Carnival and Royal Caribbean took on massive debt, borrowing on a scale unthinkable in normal times, simply to keep their fleets from sinking under their own fixed costs. It was the clearest proof imaginable that a cruise ship left standing still is a financial catastrophe. Carnival's total debt ballooned past $30 billion during the crisis, and Royal Caribbean raised billions through bond offerings at painful interest rates, mortgaging future onboard cocktails and casino chips just to buy time until passengers could legally return. That trauma explains the obsession that governs the industry today. Cruise lines will do almost anything to fill every last berth, even selling the final cabins at fire sale prices. It looks irrational until you understand the second engine. That marginal passenger, the one who booked a deep discount at the last minute, still walks aboard and spends $60, $80, $100 a day on drinks and dinners and excursions. The cheap ticket unlocks the expensive habits, so the lines discount aggressively, slashing fares to push occupancy as close to full as possible. It is not desperation. It is strategy. A ship sailing near empty loses money even if the company trims operating costs, because the fixed costs never truly shrink. But a ship sailing full, even full of bargain hunters, turns those bargain hunters into onboard spenders. Every filled seat feeds the machine twice. This is also why the ships keep getting bigger. Icon of the Seas is the largest cruise ship ever built as of 2024, and its scale is not vanity. It is arithmetic. When you spread those enormous fixed costs, the fuel and the crew and the financing, across a larger number of paying wallets, the cost to carry each passenger falls. A bigger ship also means more places to spend. Larger vessels pack in more restaurants, bars, shops, and entertainment venues per voyage, more opportunities to pull dollars from every guest. Economies of scale work on both ends at once, lowering the per-passenger cost while raising the per-passenger opportunity to sell. That is why the giants keep growing, and now the whole design clicks into place. The voyage was never really the product. The ship is a platform, and the ticket is just the entry fee to get inside. Over a single sailing, onboard revenue can rival or even exceed what the line earned from selling the ticket in the first place. Seen this way, a cruise ship stops resembling transport and starts resembling something far more familiar. It behaves like a shopping mall you cannot leave, or a casino resort that happens to float. And like the smartest of those businesses, it plays a long game, using repeat guest loyalty programs to lock in predictable future revenue, turning a first-time vacationer into a lifetime customer who books the next cruise before the current one ends. Which brings us back to the strangest image in all of this, the empty ship burning money at anchor. That picture is the ultimate proof of how razor-thin the whole logic really is. An idle vessel still devours fuel, still pays and feeds its crew, still owes its insurance premiums and financing installments. Standing still does not save it. A floating asset that costs $2 billion cannot justify its existence sitting in a harbor. It has to sail, and it has to sail full, because the entire economics depends on two things working together without pause: relentless occupancy and relentless onboard spending. Take away either one and the beautiful machine becomes a bottomless hole. So when you next stand at the rail of one of these giants, remember what you are actually standing inside. The Ship ICSTS store. The ocean is the atmosphere, the voyage is the entry fee, and everything from the cocktail in your hand to the photo on the wall was placed there to turn your vacation into someone's revenue. It is a machine of stunning efficiency, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. If you enjoyed pulling back the curtain on how this floating economy really works, consider subscribing so you can sail along with our next deep dive.